Welcome to JasonWhiskyWise. My name is Jason. Welcome to my new mini-series here on the channel. We're going to look at the Mortlach portfolio and actually the new Mortlach Core range. So I've got three expressions of Mortlach, the new 12-year-old, the 16 and the 20-year-old. And I'm actually going to be also telling you at the end of the video about the older range and how they sort of compare with my concluding notes. Now, this is going to be a mini-series, so actually if you have missed any of my older videos into Mortlach, so I reviewed the special strength, which is probably up here, it's this box over here, the 18 and the 25, and then also a Gordon and MacPhail's 15-year-old. I'll leave them over here, and I probably might have reviewed something else, I just really forgot. I've got so many Mortlachs. I really love Mortlach as it was my first ever Speyside whiskey. Now, these ones, the old core range was over here. It is the Rare Old, the 18 and the 25-year-old, and they also had a travel retail, which was a special strength, but that's travel retails. It's separate from the core range. Now we've got the 12-year-old replacing the Rare Old, the 16-year-old replacing the 18, and the 20-year-old replacing the 25. So this will now create a new core range, and they're also larger bottles. So the older range was half CL, or half litres, half CLs. So they were 50 CL. The new ones are now 70 CL, so they are now full-size bottles, which a lot of people were really asking for because Mortlach is loved by a lot of people, a lot of evangelists in whiskey, people, you know, who have a passion for this really rich and robust style of whiskey. And it felt with the older stuff that they were just neglecting their customer base and making an ultra premium brand. And if any of you know where Mortlach is, it's in Dufftown and Speyside, but I'll get to that in a second. So we'll start off by pouring ourselves a 12-year-old. The new 12-year-old is a 12-year-old whiskey. Blimey, these things are on tight. Now, these are all press samples, so I'm going to say thank you to the PR team that actually sent me these. Whoa, these are on tight. All right, finally got that open. So I want to say thank you to the PR team that actually sent me these because they overheard me at the Diageo special releases talking about Mortlach to someone else. And they said, you know what, we'll actually give you samples of Mortlach. So I said, you know what, brilliant. So that was actually just, you know, the highlight of my day over there. But here we have the Mortlach 12. And I have done notes as well, which I might put in an Instagram post very soon. So the Mortlach 12 is a 12-year-old whiskey bottled at 43% ABV, or 43.4% ABV. The actual maturation is in a combination of European sherry oak casks and also American ex-bourbon. The distillery itself is the Mortlach Distillery. They are located, well, owned by the parent company Diageo, and they are located in Speyside, Scotland. And if you know about Mortlach, it's in Dufftown and Speyside, along with, you've got Kinninvie, Balvenie, Glenfiddich, and you've also got, I think it was the closed distillery, Pitchivik, which I'm not 100%, but I think it's very close by. So, this one, in terms of its price point, you're going to see a full-size bottle of Imperial in front of Mr. Bananas. It is £50. And in terms of exclusivity, it's not exclusive. It is a core range bottling. And it's also this new style of like that sort of rectangular looking bottle, which they also had before with the older core range. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into the tasting notes on the nose. Into the nose. Getting us started on the nose of the Mortlach 12. It's actually called the Wee Witchie. And that's actually a reference to the still at the Mortlach Distillery. But first up, on the nose for this one, a lot of those dark dried fruits, like a fruit cake. Cinnamon, figs, there's lots of figs in this one. Maybe a bit of fig cake, actually, instead of saying lots of figs, fig cake. Raisins, sultanas, red apples. Actually, as if you've taken those red apples and then you baked them together and you've added that little bit of cinnamon over the top of the dusting just to add that different character. There's even a little bit of this other sort of citrusy character. I don't want to say like an orange. It's a bit sweeter, maybe a clementine or a tangerine. And this is a combination of the actual juiciness of the inside, but at the same time a little bit of the peel, adding a slight bitterness on the nose. There is a nice vanilla character also finding its way through on the nose, and it's like vanilla extract or vanilla essence, something that you'd use for baking. And there is a soft, white, peppery spice. It's not dominant, it's quite suppressed, but it is there. It's trying to sort of push itself out there and make a little bit more of a peppery character, but it's ever so gentle. That's about it for the nose. Really nice. Let's get into the palate next. Slanger. So, flavor profile on the palate for this one. Arrival onto the palate, I was expecting a little bit more richer, fuller, viscous whiskey. This is quite light. I'd say it's like a light medium, probably pushing me more to that lighter style of whiskey. In terms of flavors though, you get a sweet spiciness to start things out, and then you go into this almost like a honey cinnamon character where you've got a cinnamon note that's really trying to come through, but you're getting a lot of these sweeter notes over the top of it. It's actually almost to me like a cinnamon roll, cinnamon swirl, or what you call a cinnabon in America, because we don't have any of them here. Wish we did, but when I go back to America, being that. But it's like, you know, you've got that pastry, that sort of nice, fluffy, warm pastry character. You've got then the cinnamon dusted over the top, a little bit of vanilla icing drizzled over it, and these succulent, juicy raisins that as you're taking a bite into them, you can feel the juicy character sort of sinking into your jawline. And that's a classic character from Mortlach, which I'm grateful this expression hasn't lost, because if it lost that, probably lost hope of this whiskey. So after all that, there still keeps going on with these flavor notes. And for me, I was going to say cloves, but it's almost sort of linked together with like red apples. It's like a spiced red apple with cloves just darted all inside it and left to bake. And you're letting these sweeter, spicier notes combine together. They sort of really well marry together with that appley note. And then as it works its way in, further in on the back palate, I'm getting like notes of treacle, dark chocolate, and a little bit of like caramelized caramel, actually. Toasted caramel, that's it. Caramelized caramel. Jason, where was I going? Anyway, toasted caramel just on the end. So all these sweeter notes now making their way through, but I just really like the way the palate does hold itself through, and it doesn't have any of that bitter note that I sort of found on the actual nose. So let's get into the finish, and we'll come to our conclusion on the Mortlach 12-year-old. So for my opinion now on the finish with this whiskey, overall, it's got a nice long, I'd say medium long finish. It does hold itself more on the mid and the central palate and more towards the front, not so much on the back palate. And you got a little bit of this mouth-watering, spicy character as it's bursting and coming to life. Juicy sultanas, a little bit of like toasted caramel, even a little bit of that, it's like stewed apples, red pears, and a slight tannic, bitter character as it's drying the palate as a slight oakiness, but not, you know, it's not getting dominated on the palate. You feel more of these juicier characters keep developing and making your mouth feel like it's going to water. So really great in that sense. For a 12-year-old whiskey from Mortlach, refresh the range. I'm giving this one here an 83, or hopefully that will stand. This is getting an 83 out of 100. A reason behind that, I really love the flavor profile for what they've done at £50 versus the older expression that they had. Well, not the older. They called it the rare old, but it really wasn't that old. But the previous core range bottling called the rare old. Personally, I feel the rare old had nothing on this new 12-year-old. This new 12-year-old dominates it, you know, head and shoulders. So if you liked the older rare old, you're going to love this Mortlach 12. It just does a great job. At £50 price point, fantastic value for money. In terms of doesn't need water, doesn't need time. You can add a few drops of water. It really will just take down a little bit of that spicy character, but I just love it because with a Mortlach, with a nice robust character in the mouthfeel and the way it sinks into your jawline, I really personally don't add water to it. I just think it's great as it is. With time, again, doesn't really phase this whiskey because I left my original sample that I tried and it really didn't play out. You know, the longer I left it, still kept its same profile, which is always a great sign in terms of oxidization later on down the line. So without further ado, I'm going to wrap this video up because I'm going to probably talk a little bit too much. I love Mortlach, but at the same time, I'm critiquing this one quite hard and giving it an 83 because I feel it's doing a great job and it's much better than the previous bottling. So 83 out of 100. Let me know your thoughts if you get a chance to try this down below in the comment section. And I'm looking forward to doing the next couple videos of the 16 and the 20. But if you have enjoyed, drop it a like. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel. And check out some other Mortlach videos on screen. But this has been me, JasonWhiskyWise. And I'll catch you for the next video. Slàinte.